Anybody that knows me knows that I love being outside. I always have. I am not a person that likes being inside. But it is August the 8th, 2019. It's gone down 3 degrees right now, 90 degrees now. And the heat index, we had a heat advisory today. They said it was going to be anywhere from 100 to 105 heat index. And I'm going to tell you what, being that hot, you can call me a sissy all you want to. I can't even think about hunting season. I think about it, but holy smokes. Some redbird just said something about going dove hunting, and I broke out into a sweat just thinking about sitting on a bucket over a dove field. Well, that leads me into a little tale about my daddy, and if the kids are watching this, your granddaddy. He grew up without air conditioning. He grew up on a farm with a sawmill, and they cut logs with a crosscut saw, cut trees down with a crosscut saw, then cut the limbs off with an axe. And then hauled the logs to the sawmill. Pretty much the sawmill it was transportable, so it was pretty much set up close to where the logs were. This sawmill, they would drag the logs with mules, pull it up to the mill, saw the logs up. This was basically his life. And he worked all day, year round, outside. He never had an office job. And he, I think about it on days like today especially. I mean, this man older than me. And he'd hang out there, he'd be out there in those woods this time of year. And somebody say, oh, it's cool out there. No, it's not. It is hot. And especially if you're in like woods like that right there in the pine thicket, it's even worse. He worked all day long, usually from about 6:30, 7 o'clock until most of the time 5 or 6 o'clock, all depends. Sometimes dark and drive him in, just depending on, he wanted to get one more load where he could go to the mill first thing. It tickled me when I worked with him. Well, it didn't tickle me, it confounded me. He was very good with his money. And he, I'm very thankful for him for that, because he was able to provide for his family well. But anyway, I wish I had his financial sense. But anyway, he could deny himself. That's getting off on a whole different subject. But anyway, he was good with his money. And we'd go to get ice for the water keg in the morning. And he wouldn't buy any more than one bag. And I tried showing him, I said, Daddy, just buy 2 bags. And it'll be ice in it all day long, and that water will be so cold it'll hurt your head. He let me do that one time, maybe twice. But he did not want any more than 1 bag of ice in there. He thought 2 was just being frivolous. And Lord knows by 3 or 4 o'clock, the water was hot. There was no more ice in it. Just hot water. Which coincidentally, they say is better for you. It's easier to drink, or it doesn't make your stomach cramp. I don't know, something like that. I'd have taken the cold water. But anyway, he got after it. And I mean, he worked until he worked in that environment. I'll never forget, the last place he worked was over close to Woodard Mountain, south of Sturgis. He worked in that condition. It was 1992 when he quit. He was 65 years old, and he was still working it. You think about that, a 65-year-old man still out there in the woods in this heat. I know that he got too hot one time. He had a heat stroke one time, and that was when he was older too, much older, and he always told me that he could feel one coming on, and they always said if you ever got a heat stroke one time, that it would, it was easier to have one. What would hurt me, I would say, he'd come, not hurt me, but it made me, I don't know, he would get, during times like this, of course, he's sweating, and he would get heat rash all up under his arms, all over him. He was fair-skinned in the first place, so he was, I don't know, I don't see how he did it, but he did it, and I never heard him complain. I don't think I ever heard him complain about it being too hot. He just was out there in it. He did his job. He came home, took him a shower, ate supper, got up and did it all over again. And he did that year round. So I think about that, and I think about how much I appreciate his hard work and the things he was able to provide for me, where I didn't have to work, and ensured that I had a good education in hopes that I would never have to work like him. Because I remember he told me, he asked me when I was going to college, he said, what are you thinking about going in? I said, forestry. He said, oh hell, son. He said, don't do that. And he said, the woods is full of foresters. So he almost really had a stroke when I told him I was going in agriculture. But anyway, that's a little tale about Dandy or my daddy and hot weather.